Welcome to the many interpretations of Oviraptor, with a guest appearance of Citipati, for reasons that will make a lot more sense as the video progresses. Oviraptor is certainly an interesting dinosaur to talk about. It's one that has a very interesting history, like a very tragic history, if you will. Again, for reasons that will be explained as the video progresses. But enough jibber jabber, let's go ahead and start talking about Oviraptor and its various media depictions. Let's get right into it. We will start off with the Disney territory in Fantasia, released in 1940. Because it was released in 1940, of course, as you've seen in previous episodes of this series, that means that the animals are extremely for their time. They're extremely products for their time. Extremely products for their time. Words. But that applies to Oviraptor too. You'll notice right here in this image in particular, it is shown dragging its tail. It's a very slender body and, of course, completely featherless. This was mostly the perception of dinosaurs at the time. They were mostly seen as larger lizards, essentially, and so you'd often see them depicted doing things like dragging their tail, something that we now know was not the case. What's also interesting here is that it seems Oviraptor is portrayed without a crest, which, honestly, might be a little bit more accurate. That's something that we'll get into as the video progresses. But yeah, that's a pretty standard start for the animal. It's good to get that basis set of where we once were with dinosaur reconstructions. That way we can only just go up from there. After that, we have National Geographic's Dinosaur Hunters, and this is quite a bit different from the last one, of course. It's still featherless, unfortunately. Of course, Oviraptor would have had feathers. Most Oviraptorids would have anyway, if not all of them would have. It is also portrayed with a crest, a beak, which is also true, and some awesome looking patterns. They're also breaking their wrists. That is something that was very common for older reconstructions too. Now, you'll notice how vastly different this is from the last one. So this kind of marks the start of a new trend that we'll see with Oviraptors that look a lot similar to this. I do like seeing them on their eggs though. That's very good. I'm not going to talk about the story between them and their eggs until we see one actually stealing eggs, and then we'll talk about it a little bit more, but that's foreshadowing. I'll plant the idea in your head. In Dinosaur Eggs and Babies, we have this one right here. Again, it keeps that same trend of this whole shape, this general shape that we'll see for Oviraptor a lot, with a reduced crest, a beak that looks pretty good on this one in particular, a pretty slender body, and actually some sparse feathers. So we're starting to move in the correct direction. They seem very downy and everything, but they look pretty good on this model in particular. It is also still breaking its wrists. But we're still climbing the staircase. We're getting somewhere that is a little bit recognizable to today's standards. And now Disney's Dinosaur. This is the perfect place to talk about it because Oviraptor in this movie is shown stealing Aladar's egg. Well, the egg that Aladar was in. It wasn't Aladar's specific egg. He wasn't the father of the egg. It was the one that Aladar was inside. Anyway, the Oviraptor steals it and it runs off and it makes some very funny noises that I just love with all of my being. Just great. Just great. Of course, it is still naked. Its crest is absolutely massive. It has the beak. It has those interesting teeth that are on the roof of its mouth. Huge hands, which is good because Oviraptors did have huge hands. Oviraptorids in general. And the colors are pretty cool. Now, let's talk about the egg thievery. Now, of course, the name Oviraptor does translate to egg thief. It was named that because the holotype, which is the first specimen found, was found in association with eggs. Now, at the time, there was a lot of different eggs being found, and it was thought that these were Protoceratops eggs. The eggs that Oviraptor was found in association with looked exactly like the supposed Protoceratops eggs. So, it was assumed that this holotype was basically caught red-handed and found trying to steal the eggs of a Protoceratops. And so that damned it to the name of Oviraptor, which translates to egg thief. Now, later on, some decades after the fact, there were a lot more different Oviraptorids found, like members of the same family found, that were also found in association with eggs. Only difference was that they were directly on top of their eggs, and they seemed to be in a brooding position, with their arms stretched out and everything, protecting them from the elements or protecting them from any creatures that want to take those eggs. This showed that Oviraptorids were carrying parents, and so this caused everybody to go back and reevaluate that holotype of Oviraptor, and they found out that the eggs that was found with this Oviraptor specimen were its own eggs, which means that it was simply protecting its eggs, not trying to steal them. The name Egg Thief, when he was a good parent, That's the huge story right there. This is also a great part to mention how completely messed up the Oviraptor's holotype is. This is what it looks like. It's hard to gauge anything from that. And that actually leads into the next point. We'll move on to Dinosaur King. Right here, it looks like this. It is also absolutely massive, a lot bigger than Oviraptor would have been, and it still has a crest. Now, pretty much every single depiction that you see of Oviraptor is actually based off of the Oviraptorid known as Citipati, a creature that is far more complete and again has always been used as the basis because, as I said, the actual Oviraptor specimen is pretty incomplete. There's also no evidence of a crest on Oviraptor specifically. Heck, I don't even think that there is a evidence of a crest on Citipati. I don't know too much about it. I've done a lot of research trying to figure out if dinosaurs like Oviraptor and Citipati had a crest, and I can't find anything definitive about it. There are some places that say that they likely did. I will mention that James of the Skeleton Crew, who actually examined these fossils very closely and knows way more than I obviously do, did mention that there doesn't seem to be any evidence of at least a keratinous crest, which means that it's much more likely that something like the Citipati skull probably had soft tissue rather than a kind of keratinous crest again. Now, actually, a lot of these huge crested appearances are based off of another specimen of another Oviraptorid known as MPC-D 100/42. Because it is not actually officially identified. We don't know what kind of Oviraptor this is. We don't know if it's a species of Citipati or what. It's not officially identified, but this one does have a crest. And it's a crest that you can see very clearly. So technically, this has been used as the basis for most Citipati reconstructions and by extension, the basis for most Oviraptor reconstructions. So if you want to really get down to the weeds, most Oviraptor depictions are based off of MPC-D 100/42. Which is this specimen right here. I will also mention that in the Princeton Field Guide of Dinosaurs, Gregory S. Paul does have it labeled that the lack of crest on Citipati could be evidence of sexual dimorphism or possibly younger individuals not having a crest and then growing into a crest. Again, I'm not really finding any clear-cut answers on that. Like, again, I just can't say anything definitive about it. So maybe they had a crest. Maybe they didn't, but I'm going to go with James's assessment on it because, again, he's evaluated these specimens very closely, and he says that there's no evidence for a crest, so I'm going to say that there's probably no crest present on these animals. Anyway, the Dinosaur King one looks pretty good. It's also, again, it's like I said, it was pretty big. Citipati was also pretty big, so that shows that most Oviraptor reconstructions are based off of Citipati. Like in Dinosaur Planet, the sounds on these guys was also really fun.
Killing.
Just these huge honking noises. I don't know. I really liked it. They are feathered. They are completely feathered. They look really good. I love how they're doing these they're outstretching their arms and everything as they're honking, making themselves very intimidating. They also have massive crests, but the skull structure looks really good. I think that they look great. I think that the quality of the CGI looks great. They're obviously based off of Citipati as well. And I just think that they look good. I like them. Then we'll move on to Planet Dinosaur. Now, this is probably not Oviraptor. In the episode, it was simply just called Oviraptorid. So, same family. But I might as well include it because it actually might be one of the most accurate ones we have here. That's because it has a significantly reduced crest, which is a lot more likely than the massive crests that we've been seeing that are, most likely just a product of MPC-D 100/42. They also kind of have sparse feathers, some feathers on the arms and everything, but I really like the looks of the black beak in contrast with the rest of the body. So just all in all, I really like this one too. I think it's kind of I think it's a little fun one. In The Land Before Time, we have Ruby here, who is from some later projects that I never had the fortune to watch. I think I've watched one with her in it. She is kind of like the caregiver to Chomper. I think watching him while his parents are doing something, I don't know. She has some sparse feathers, which is cool. It's always cool to see some feathers in a franchise that doesn't typically apply them, which Land Before Time definitely is one of those franchises. She has a huge crest, so it's more like, I won't talk about that anymore. But this awesome looking pink coloration too. She looks like she has a lot of character. So she's very cool. I like her. Looks awesome. There's also this one. I don't know this one's names. This one's name. Looks cool though. Basically everything I've said about Ruby applies to this one. In Dinosaur Train, we have one with a pretty cool pink color with some yellow accents. The crest, of course, the beak, of course. It has a tail fan going on and some feathers on its arms too. Looks pretty cool. There's also this one that is a lot more purple in coloration as well. Yeah, pretty standard stuff, I'd say. And then in Jurassic World, we got introduced to Oviraptor in first the prologue, and then later in the movie in a deleted scene that was added to the extended cut where it gets its head bit off, and it's like very, very graphic and very terrifying and really puts Lystrosaurus on the map. Very horrifying. I love the way that this guy looks, though. This is probably one of my favorite depictions in the Jurassic franchise. I love the quality of the feathers. The crest is huge. Again, I can't keep talking about that, but I just think it looks great. And some of the colors that you can give it in Jurassic World Evolution are just so awesome. Some of them are so vibrant. Some of them have some like really cool combinations. I adore it. I just adore it. Its hands are blemmin' tiny though. Oviraptor had very tiny hands here. Well, let's talk a little bit more about the diet of Oviraptor, because I kind of like left that part out when I was talking about the eggs. So that is also something that kind of goes a little bit back and forth. It seems likely that Oviraptor was likely mostly herbivorous, and would probably eat some meat from time to time. So maybe they were omnivorous. I believe that there was a lizard found in the gut contents of an Oviraptorid. I don't know which one specifically. So it did indulge in something like that. It also seems likely that it can like crush some tougher prey. While also I've heard the study that they were like that compared their beak structure to that of parrots, and maybe they ate fruit with some nuts and things like that. Their diet has always been confusing to me, and it's one of those things that goes all over the place. I would say that they were likely omnivorous, probably leaning more towards the omnivorous side. But yeah, I figured I'd bring that up. I don't know. But let's stick to the Jurassic franchise and take a look at it in Jurassic Park 2, The Chaos Continues. I can barely make it out in this image. The size seems a little bit closer to Citipati, but it looks like it has some a brightly colored head. That's the most I can make out. So yeah, it looks cool, I suppose. And then here it is in Jurassic Park 3, Park Builder. I like the way that they look. I like the contrast of the brighter colors with the duller colors of the body. It looks like they might be sitting on an egg too. Always portray these guys as good parents. That's essential. We need to make up for all of that wrongdoing. It's not right. It's just not right. And here's the little heartbreaker in Jurassic World Alive. Very, very different compared to the one that shows up in the movie, of course. Has a longer neck, more so a longer build, like more streamlined build in general. Is that the right word, streamlined? Just a lot more elongated. The tail fan, I think, looks cool. I love the fact that they gave it feathers, even though the feathers on the hand or on the arm looks really weird. They don't cover the hand at all, and it's breaking its wrists. It also does have the crest on its head. The beak looks really cool. But yeah, again, this seems like another depiction that's mostly based off of Citipati. Citipati was larger than Oviraptor. In fact, I think there was a time that Citipati was the largest Oviraptorosaur until Gigantoraptor was found. And of course, Gigantoraptor was significantly larger than Oviraptor, or Citipati. There's also this image right here. Appreciate the heck out of that. Look at it's defending its eggs. Like that. We need more of that. And actually, it does seem like a lot of modern reconstructions are leaning towards that direction. Look no further than Prehistoric Planet 2, which showcases Corythoraptor, which of course is an Oviraptorosaur. That is one that did have a crest, by the way. We have found the crest on Corythoraptor, and seeing it defend its eggs more so than like trying to steal eggs and things like that was really cool. Really appreciate the heck out of that. And then we'll go ahead and move on from the Jurassic franchise, which was a little bit shorter this time around. We're kind of stepping back a little bit. On to 65. 65 is certainly a movie. I have told some folks that I will do a review on this movie. I did one on TikTok way back when the movie came out, and yeah, that didn't get viewed by a lot of people, but that's okay. That's okay, because I will make a review on YouTube and give you my full depth analysis, which means I need to rewatch the movie, because basically all you need to know right now is I didn't really like it. It was kind of fun, but I didn't really like it. Anyway, Oviraptor shows up in a cave, and it's like really interesting. It's really albino, like judging from these photos right here. Like kind of terrifying. I kind of dig how horrific it looks. It's very skinny. The head looks pretty good. It has a small crest and a very thin neck. The hands also look huge and menacing. It looks really cool in that department. But one thing that is really, really strange to me is the fact that they gave it these sharp teeth, like along the beak. it had a toothless beak. It had these type of teeth on the roof of their mouth. At least I think those were teeth. If those were not teeth, I apologize, but they might have not been teeth, which actually seems to be absent here. The size is also a lot closer to Citipati, of course, and I liked how it was portrayed in a horror sense of like a horror way. That was an interesting way to portray the animal and very different in terms of this list. But the whole movie, man, it's just the whole movie. But yeah, aside from the teeth, this isn't too terrible. All things considered, I think it's pretty passable. It at least looks a lot more like the dinosaur it's supposed to be, more so than most of the other dinosaurs in that movie, you know. And then we'll move on to the rest of the video games with Fossil Fighters. Nice blue coloration, a red and orange head, and it looks like the crest is a little bit more reduced here, which is really cool, but you can still see it's present there. The feathers are also here. It's got some white stripes, and it kind of looks like it has a little bit of like a bandit mask or some goggles or something. That's kind of fun. I like that. But yeah, I think that I like it. I like the art style of this game. In Carnivore's Cityscape, we have this one that I really dig. It's incredibly stylized, but it looks so cool. Look at this. I like the feathers that stick off from the back of its head and the ones that stick down the midline of its back all the way down to the hip and on the tail. And these colors, I think, go really well together. I'm a huge fan of this one. I need to find a way to play Cityscape because that's a Carnivores game that I never had the opportunity to play, and it just seems really fun. And in this corner, we have the Oviraptor that looks very different from the one in Cityscape. This one goes for a lot more of a retro design. It still has the crest and everything. It seems to have a toothless beak too, and huge, huge eyes as well. Really like it. Completely featherless, of course. Really fits that retro theme. This is actually a redesign. When it was first initially added in Carnivore's Dinosaur Hunter, it looked a lot more like this, which is a little bit more up to date to our current understanding of dinosaurs in general. And then they reverted back to the one that matches old paleo art and stuff like that, which definitely works. You know, keep it in that style. Yeah, this is he. Very, very gorgeous. And then in Dino Crisis, we have this one right here. The crest is actually a lot more moved back, whereas with most Oviraptorosaurs that had a crest, it would kind of like extend from the beak, kind of. It would be a lot closer to the front of the head. Its neck is also very stubby, and yeah, it's very stylized. Tiny hands too, but it looks cool. You know, it fits the style very well. I especially love this piece of art right here. There's just something really satisfying about it. It also seems to have a toothless beak, which is good, you know, because now we have an example of what not to do. But yeah, it looks good. It looks good in its stylized way. I do like the art style in this game too, so. Awesome. Now here we have it in Ark Survival Evolved, really emphasizing the egg thievery I see. Looks like it can capture quite a few of them at the same time. But it captures the whole feel, the whole look and feel of Oviraptor / Citipati. It has that crest, it has a beak, it has these two type of teeth right there, which is really cool. A very tiny eye here too, and some sparse feathers too, which is very interesting. Here's a better look of what it looks like in game. I think it looks pretty good. I think it matches up pretty well to how we'd mostly expect to see Oviraptor. Like, you know, that certainly matches up. This one in particular, I like the contrasting colors that it has going on. You know, it's very Ark design, and I think it looks pretty good. I know that the Isle is gearing up to do Oviraptor. Again, seems to be based off of Citipati, which is based off of NPC-D 100/42. But it looks pretty cool here. I love these colors. You know, they're the blues with the blacks and little bits of reds or oranges. Can't quite tell. I'm sometimes not great at colors. The crest is huge. The hands also look really good, and I like how they seem to be covered by the feathers, and they're facing the correct way. I think that it looks really cool. It looks really cool, and I can't wait to play this animal when it gets added, of course, in the Isle of Rima. And the baby, look at this little baby model. I remember seeing these images all over the place, and I haven't heard anything since. Hopefully they are still getting added, which they most likely are, but I'm just curious, okay? I think they look good, though. I can't wait to see them when they eventually do get added to the game. Paleopines. I meant to talk about the Stegosaurus from Paleopines. I even had the moment recorded, and I didn't talk about it. All you really need to know is I like it. I like the Stegosaurus from Paleopines. I think it looks really good. Same goes for the Oviraptor / Citipati here. I think it looks really good. I think when you look at it, you would see Oviraptor / Citipati. The colors look really great, of course. It has a huge crest, as per usual. And yeah, no notes. And then here it is in Prehistoric Kingdom. Again, with, based off of Citipati, which is based off of the other specimen. It looks good, though. I think it looks really good. I like the way that the crest looks, and I like the overall colors of these options. I know that if and when it does get added to the future... Oh, this is interesting. I just realized this. Here are some male and female variants. It seems that they gave the males the crests, whereas the females get no crests. That's pretty cool. That really leads into the Gregory S. Paul assessment, where it possibly something that represents sexual dimorphism, which that's always a huge possibility. It could, again, this is all looping back to what I said earlier. Sam, my dog barking, but it could also be something that they don't have when they're younger, and then it's something that they develop as they grow older, or they, once they gain sexual maturity and all that good stuff. It is really hard to say with something like that. It still looks really cool. Be really cool to see this guy, and I think that the models always look fantastic in Prehistoric Kingdom, so just really good. Okay, so now we're going to be doing a few Citipati reconstructions because, why not? This one is a Path of Times mod done by the Titanus Constructus team, and I love it. It's literally one of the best things ever. Mine has these colors, got some whites, got some blacks, and some blues, because blue looks awesome. And just listen to these sounds. Isn't that one of the greatest things you have ever heard? Look at this. Or here's my favorite one. That's just amazing. It's so good. I like how the feathers are really incorporated into. Yeah. Oh, I love it. I like the way that the neck looks. I like that it has like sort of a little waddle at the bottom of its chin. Everything just looks fantastic in my own humbled opinion. I like how it flaps its wings while it's dropping down. There's a little kick attack and things like that, and claw attack. I think it looks really good. I absolutely adore Path of Titans mods. I love the fact that there's something that is so easily accessible, and this one just looks fantastic if you ask me. Got some beautiful lighting to complement it too. Yeah, I love this one. In Prior Extinction, it has a massive crest, but some of these colors look really cool. The texturing of the feathers, I think, look fantastic. The hands and the arms look really great, and that tail fan just looks so cool. This game's really cool. This game's really cool. I really like it. And then there's also the Citipati that shows up in the Citipati short film. I won't talk about this too much aside from the design. The design looks really cool. Very sparse feathers. Matches up to most of the perceptions of Citipati pretty well. And the quality of the CGI, the quality of the animation looks so good too. I won't talk about it too much because I do recommend you checking it out. I think it's a fantastic short film. Definitely well worth the watch. Of course, if you haven't seen it already, which, there's a lot of you who have, I'm sure. But yeah, I think that's a great place to end the list right here. So there we are. Those are like a lot of depictions of Oviraptor and Citipati. I might have missed some. In fact, I most likely did. And that's for a multitude of different reasons. I don't try to include every single one that ever existed. The whole point is to try to get a good idea of different reconstructions of these animals. Again, this was a little bit of a tricky one because of those things I talked about. It's like, what is this animal's true diet? Did it have a crest? Those things are like really, really iffy. And I did, of course, do research to try to figure these things out, but there's so many contradictory things circling around there that it's hard to just kind of set with one and say that's how it was. But of course, isn't that the fun thing about paleontology, is that with a lot of new fossil discoveries and things like that, we do learn more. Our perception of these animals does change more. And that's one of the reasons why I like this series, is because a lot of these, there are a lot of depictions that were never accurate, but there are some depictions that were for the time. And it's cool to see how much our perception has changed from that point in time to the modern day. It's something that I just love seeing, and that's one of the reasons why I really like doing this series, and why I'm very appreciative of you guys watching this series. Because of course, I'm sure you could tell, but this is by far the best performing series on the channel, which I am very grateful for. It's a very fun series to do. It's also the one that takes me the longest because I don't have a lot of time to get these things done. But I think it's worth it. I think it's really fun to get out. It's just everybody seems to enjoy it. I seem to enjoy it, so we can keep doing it. But let me know what you guys think about Oviraptor and Citipati and NPC-D 100/42. Be sure to let me know what you guys think of those specimens. And the fact that Oviraptor had always been noted as a nest robber when, I'm sure that it, depending on its diet preference, I'm sure it could have eaten eggs from time to time. But I don't think it was, and most don't think that it was as egg hungry as it was often depicted to be throughout the many decades since it was discovered. But anyway, the poll should be going up tomorrow. Be sure to vote for which creature you'd like to see next. As you probably already saw, I did put up a poll for the 20,000 subscriber special. And the reason why I put it up so early, even though we're not at 20,000 subscribers yet, is because I want to get a little bit of a head start on it. Whether or not Triceratops or Velociraptor would have won would have meant that it would have been a huge, huge video. No matter what, those two dinosaurs have so many media depictions out there that it would have taken forever to get it done, and I want to do it justice. As you probably saw, Triceratops won by quite a bit. I'm very excited for that too. I love Triceratops, and there's a lot of really cool depictions out there. So I can't wait to get started on that. I also have another type of special thing that I want to do for the 1-year anniversary of this series, because on August 8th, it will officially be 1 year since I started a series, which is insane. Feels like I just started it like 2 months ago. Crazy how time works. But that's enough rambling for now. I do hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you like this sort of content, be sure to stick around, because this type of content is what makes up my channel. We talk about dinosaur stuff, we play dinosaur games, we talk about some fossil discoveries every once in a while, we do all kinds of dinosaur stuff, and prehistoric animals, not just dinosaurs, all kinds of stuff. Stick around if you like that stuff. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and have an awesome day.